Thanks for the invitation from Microsoft. It's my great pleasure to present application of AI in healthcare industry in China. I will present from the perspective of a medical doctor and also from the pharma industry. My name is Chengming. I'm the head of medical affairs, Greater China for SANOFI. China healthcare industry is undergoing a fundamental change. From the economic development, China is always the second largest economy in the world. This will trigger the increasing demand on the treatment, drug access, and the life quality of the people, especially the middle class people. On the demographic shift, China is moving to an aging population. It's said by 2030, there will be 230 million people in China. The demand is increasing, and also the medical expenditure is also increasing. China is a single-payer market, and we have a much wider coverage. Almost everyone gets medical insurance, and also deeper reimbursement. This will lead increase of the medical expenses. And there's a lot of medical-related policies coming out recently. And this will encourage the drug innovation, especially the first-in-class, best-in-class drugs. And also, China drug approval is getting faster, and is much closer to US FDA approval or Europe EMA approval. And with the fast development of technology, the AI, the cloud, the 5G, IoT, blah, blah, and the China healthcare industry is undergoing a fundamental transformation. The first one is the patient-centric. It's from the physician-centric to patient-centric. The digital transformation, especially the automation of the digital process, and increase a lot of efficiency of the healthcare industry. It's coming into a data-driven intelligence which will support the precision medicine in China. There are a lot of emerging trends in healthcare sector. I will focus on some areas from the research to the development and to the patient journey, from the screening, diagnosis, treatment, and also patient adherence to the treatment. From the pharma aspect, the digitalized RD, digitalized pharma operation, the real world evidence, and is getting very important. And it's complementary to the randomized control trials, the RCT, to collect the data to support the clinical decision. Knowledge graph is also another very powerful tools to support the clinical decision, and also use that one in research and development. Clinical trials is also undergoing a fundamental change from the face-to-face clinical trials to the patient-centric data-driven trials, and also the remote one for the virtual trials. Another trend emerging very quickly from recent years, that's a digital therapeutic. I will explain this one later. Internet hospital is booming. In China, we have more than 1,000 internet hospitals in 2 or 3 years. And the clinical decision supporting system already applied in many hospitals in China to support the physician's clinical decision, especially in the remote areas and the county level hospitals. Patient self-disease management also getting very important, from the physician-centric to the really patient-centric. For the AI ecosystem, we start with the data. We use the multi-model data source, including the EMR, the patient registry data, claim data, the person data, that is the social media data, and also the genomic data. Is very important to putting all this data together, combine with the medical knowledge, the treatment guidelines, the literature publications. Then we can develop a lot of tools, develop a lot of models to predict and to guide the clinical decision to support patient adherence, and use all these applications in research and development. For example, the target selection, the clinical trial management, and also the hospital and disease management, and also the medical insurance support. For example, the policy analysis, rational drug use and precision medical insurance use. For the digitalized R&D is based on the big data and also AI. You know, the R&D is a very time consuming and also budget consuming. Normally, it takes 10 to 15 years and spent $1 billion to $1.5 billion US to develop one drug. So it's very expensive to develop one drug. So AI usage in this R&D part is booming, and we have a lot of companies under each pillars. But this is only list a few. There are many other companies is coming out. In China, it's the same, and it's covering from the basic research, the target selection, and also the drug optimization, and also the formulation maximization. For clinical trial part, that's the development part, from the patient recruitment, protocol development, data collection, clinical trial operation, data analysis, and drug registration, all along this R&D process, the AI is also using, which will lead 30 to 40% higher success rate, and also 40 to 50% time saving, and also 50% cost saving. Where the big tech companies are also doing this, we see like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, even IBM also apply the AI from drug discovery, clinical development, the supply chain, the product launch, and also monitoring the clinical health record. I will not go into in detail. One typical example, that's a DeepMind to predict the protein and the folding of the protein or structure of a protein, and a very famous case and leading the development of the AI use in the drug development. And this is one case from us. We're working with the Chinese Academy of Science, and we use the drug and knowledge graph to assist in the potential indication development. We combine the knowledge from the compound or drug with the genomic data, with the disease-related data, and also putting all the data together, we have the knowledge graph. You can see clearly, we can find all the possible indications relate to this disease and also relate to this compound. We use our existing indication to test this algorithm. At the same time, we find a lot of potential indications in the list. Now we are working with the scientists, with the physicians in different therapeutic areas to verify the possible indications. We think this is another way to support us for the future indication development. The transforming the clinical trials is transforming from the digital traditional trials to the virtual trials. You know, the traditional trials, we have a lot of process from patient recruitment, from the baseline screening, informed consent, and signature, and the treatment group assignment, and also treatment patient follow-up. So this takes a lot of time and use a lot of people, and FTEs use a lot of CRAs to support the traditional trials. But for the virtual trials, for the data collection, we don't use the CRF. We use, for example, use the smartphones, use the app to collect all the data and from the biomarkers and from different organs. That we can also use the patient-reported outcome to collect data. You see the fundamentally changed for the data collection, and also we can use the remote monitoring of the clinical trials. So this will save a lot of time and much more efficient. For the digital markers can support us in every step of the patient journey, from the disease prediction, the diagnosis, the treatment, the prognosis, and even digital therapeutic. I will introduce one later. And this is one example. We work with Anzhen Hospital, that's the cardiovascular hospital, the leading one in China. For the atrial fibrillation, we predict the the onset of a stroke for the patient. You see here, we compare with the Framingham model. We use our model at the very beginning is already better than Framingham model. Once we have the feature selection, the prediction accuracy is getting better. Once we increase our variables from 50 to 100, 150, 200, you see the accuracy also increasing. The difference is the Framingham model use only 5 variables. That's why we use the AI supported machine learning can have a much better outcome compared with the traditional Framingham model. Another case is the clinical decision support system. You know, traditionally we use our personal knowledge and the personal experience to treat a patient. Now we can translate the personal knowledge into the code, which a computer can really understand all the knowledge. And use the natural language processing, we can read the medical EMR and also subtract the useful information into the data set. Then we can do the analysis, do the patient similarity, and find the best treatment solution for each single patient. From this case, we did this one in 1991. In 1995, we did this one in Xiamen City. The Xiamen City, they have 4 million people, and they have 38 district hospitals. We compare with 19 hospital district with another 19 district with CDS support. You see, after even 3 months, we can see, and there's a significant difference. And the cholesterol control also have a significant better compared with the control arm. For diabetes control, for hypertension control, we got the same result. So clinical decision support really very effective to supporting the county hospital disease management. Another example, that's what we are doing in SANOFI, that's a diabetes management program we call the TRIO. The meaning is TRIO, that means 3 people, including physician, including the nurse, and also the patient. We're putting the 3 of them together to manage the disease. Once the patient gets a treatment, let's say for insulin injection, the nurse will support them to how to use the insulin pen to inject the insulin. How many units of insulin should be injected. More importantly, we have an IT platform using the chatbot to support the patient. If patient have any questions, they can ask the chatbot. If a chatbot cannot answer the question, we use the WeChat in China to inform the nurse can answer the questions. If the nurse cannot answer questions, we will link the patient to the physician. This will dramatically increase efficiency and reduce the workload for the physicians. At the same time, we can not only manage, use the insulin, but at the same time, we manage their dietary, their exercise, their sleep, their mental concerns like depression. So putting all together, we have a very good result compared with the baseline 3 months, the day of treatment retention. You see dramatically compare from 49 to 76. The HbA1c level control from the 39.7 to 58. And also fast plasma glucose achievement also increasing dramatically. Another emerging trend, that's a digital therapeutic, which will be the future innovation. Why use the digital therapeutic? Because the healthcare related data for the patients only 10%, and the genomic data covers 30%. Another 65, that's the behavior related, environmental related, and the social related data. At the moment, we only care about the healthcare data, but neglect the large part. With the digital therapeutic, we can put all this data together to manage the patient. That's the emerging trend that we call the digital therapeutic. We use the clinical evidence to show the digital therapeutic can have a much better effect compared with the standard of care. So just like a medical, we test a medical drug. One example is the product from Akili in US. FDA just approved this one in 2020 last year. They use the video to treat the patients with ADHD. for the kids, they have hyper activities and attention deficiencies. You see that even with the game, they can treat the disease. This is a typical digital therapeutic. Of course, there are many other ways for the digital therapeutic. And the internet hospital, as I mentioned in the very beginning, is booming. For the last 2 years, China already have more than 1,000 internet hospitals. Almost all the big hospitals, they have same time internet hospitals. And other technical giants, they also have the internet hospitals. For the application of internet hospital, really support patient seeking the treatment, including the before the hospital, they have a pre-diagnosis, screening of the disease, even they have a self-assessment and the data report. And in the hospital, they will have a rapid diagnosis, also online diagnosis, online consultation, even physicians have an online treatment and online lab test. The patient can go to the offline real hospitals, have their the real lab test, and this lab test can same time can send it back to the online and physicians. And even after the hospital, they have the doctor-patient interactions, engagements, and treatment adjustments, follow-up, disease education. You see all along the patient journey, which is totally different from the offline treatment. And it's booming in China and support a lot, especially after COVID-19. The last example, that's the e-MSLs for the pharmaceutical companies. You know, we have a lot of medical rep. Now we are doing the e-rep. And for the medical team, we use the medical science liaison. And we also have the e-MSLs. So this is a virtual one. Instead of the real MSL, we use a virtual one. The key things like a 3-1. We have a 360 degrees understanding of a KOL profile. And we have an automatic data content generation. For example, we don't need to really go into the PubMed, and the machine can support us to search all the related papers. And we same time under the KOL preference, we have individualized the data recommendation and send all these papers to the KOLs. So traditionally, we use the face-to-face offline events and the third-party events. Now in China, we use a lot, not the email, and it's like WhatsApp in US, and we use the WeChat very often in China to communicate with each individual physicians. And we can same time, we combine the offline with the online, we call the hybrid MSLs, and the online webinars, which are used very often in China. The efficiency is getting improved, customer preference, customer experience improved a lot. So for today, and this is my brief introduction, hopefully it will be helpful for all of you. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attention. Thanks again for the invitation from Microsoft.